I noticed, like when I stream sometimes, it doesn't let me go on the US West server, which I'm the closest to, because I'm in Southern California. And I think that was what the problem was. The server I'm on probably just went down. So as I was saying, I've bought this game 3 times. Yeah, I use the automatic setting a lot on XSplit, but lately it keeps like giving me random servers. Like sometimes it goes as far as like the East server. And I'm like, that increases my latency like crazy, I'd imagine. I've thought about speedrunning this game on like NG plus Nightmare, but level 6 just makes me not want to do that. I don't know how else to put it. Like, this game's really fun, but you get to level 6 and I just lose interest. I wish I could like mod that level out of the game. Then this would be a pretty cozy, like, hour-long speedrun, probably. But that level is just like longer than like the other quarter of the game. And it gets worse on Nightmare too, that's the thing. So how is Hyperstone Heist? I think I played that like once as a kid. Isn't it like different from Turtles in Time? Yeah, I remember playing it as a kid at like a friend's house like once. But I didn't have a Genesis growing up, so I didn't get to play the, you know, non-big name exclusives like that. Like, I used to have to go to my friend, it was brothers. The little brother was Mikey, and the big brother was Dean. And they had a Genesis. That was where I had to go to play stuff like Sonic and Streets of Rage and the other big-name Genesis titles, but they never had Hyperstone Heist. I didn't know many people with a Genesis back then. Pretty much all my friends in elementary school were like, they all had Nintendos. I knew like a choice few that had a Genesis. There's probably some cool stuff on there that I just never got to experience because I didn't have too many people. See, I was an only child, so you know, I got stuff suitable for one kid. I didn't have any brothers or sisters that I could mooch off of as they got older. But I did have my my grandpa. We got all our stuff from a locally owned video store, and he'd been going there since before I was even born. So when I got to, you know, like elementary school age, whenever he would take me there, they would let me pick a like Nintendo game for free. So I got to experience a decent amount of games despite not having like another person in the family that was an active gamer. Like, I never actually owned Mega Man X, I just kept renting it out over and over and over and over. I didn't actually own those games until I was much older, like high school age. Yeah, I played a lot of beat-em-ups growing up. That's why I gravitate to them, but you know, given the current climate of game development, not really a whole lot of them to choose from. I didn't get to play this until really late on, like 2 years after it came out, because I didn't have an Xbox for a long time. And now somehow I own 3 versions of this game. I wasn't really intending on playing this version of the game at all until they update it, but I decided I should get at least like 1 character leveled up so that I can try out the new stuff when it comes out. Because the Vita port of this is amazing. Like, the port of this on the Vita is like pretty much the best beat 'em up on the console, in my opinion. Guilty Gear Judgment doesn't count because they delisted it. So the only way you can get that is, you know, if you downloaded it before they delisted it, or you jailbreak your Vita and just put an ISO on. Well, a lot of the, like, beat-em-ups that people haven't played, like Night Slashers, is just because arcades didn't carry them. The arcades were a lot more likely to carry stuff like, you know, Sunset Riders, Turtles in Time, The Simpsons, because those are like huge money makers back then. I think the owners didn't want to take risks. I heard Reshelled was terrible. I think I played the demo and never played it again. You didn't really miss anything. Well, those games were like huge money makers. That's probably why I never played Night Slashers growing up. I played a lot of, like, you know, the big Konami Quarter Munchers. I played all those a lot. I played the Golden Axe games, Streets of Rage, all 3 SNES Final Fights, a lot of other random ones. Definitely one of my primary genres. Yeah, I still don't really know how to approach that fight. If I ever did speedrun this game, I'd have to probably grind out some strats or something. But level 6 just makes me not want to do that. I hate that level so much. It's like such a fun, just simple beat 'em up until you get to that level, and then suddenly you have to traverse through this maze that has like no landmarks whatsoever. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, if you played this with like somebody who didn't like really like beat 'em ups, I guarantee you they'd probably stop at that point. Oh man, Sengoku 3 is great. Sengoku 3 is one of the more underrated beat-em-up gems that hardly anybody's played. I need to track down a ROM for that. I'd love to play that again. I played that game so much when I was in high school. I had the ROM of it. I must have beat that game like dozens of times. I was obsessed with that game. A couple months ago, SNK posted a poll on what like classic Neo Geo game we wanted to be ported to Vita, and they had Sengoku 3 on there. I'm like, oh my god, I hope you guys vote for it. Everybody voted for something else. I hope they still consider it. I'd love to own a legal copy of that game, but they never did any kind of home console port at all. I've never actually seen it at an arcade either. I only just had the ROM. No, I don't consider that. That doesn't count. I don't have like $1,500 or whatever exorbitant price they're charging. If they had put it on Vita, it would have been like probably like 15 bucks. Honestly, that game doesn't have much replay value aside from just playing as the other characters. I remember when Murph was playing that game and he soft-locked it. I was like shocked. Like, I beat that game dozens of times. I never had it crash once. I don't know how he just has this innate ability to soft-lock games. I hope that they'll still reconsider, even though it didn't win the poll. I mean, all that company does now is they just push out random phone games and they just keep rehashing games they made like 15-20 years ago. Like Sengoku 3 is like one of the only ones that hasn't been ported at all. I hope that they'll do it at some point. I don't know, this game's pretty stable. It doesn't really have any crazy glitches. The glitchiest thing about this game is the online play. The online play is awful. And that's why this PC port that I'm playing now doesn't have online, because they admitted they've never been able to actually get the online working stable. Like, the online on the Vita is like playing a fighting game with somebody who has terrible internet and is like torrenting at the same time. Like, it's that bad. It's like barely playable. I mean, I guess you could play it, but it wouldn't be enjoyable. They said that they're working on it. I hope that they're actually able to get it working, because they've made 3 versions of this game. And the 2 that have online play are horrendously laggy. This seems like a perfect co-op game. I think more people would have known about this game if the online play wasn't so bad. Nothing will ever be as glitchy as the male grappler in DFO. That class has been horrendously glitched for like the past 5 years, and just this year they like finally fixed them. Like, the class has been in the game for like half a decade, and just now they're fixing it. Yeah, most people that put the Konami Quarter Munchers on a pedestal haven't played them since they were kids, because design-wise, those games are awful. Like, they're terrible games. I mean, one of your core mechanics of, like, throwing things, or enemies, is random. Like, what sense does that make? I think they just put that into, like, I don't know. American arcades are dead because of the distribution system that all new arcade games are on in Japan. The main thing the Konami beat-em-ups had behind them was the licensing power. Like, they were all based on really popular franchises from the 90s. But gameplay-wise, they're terrible. Like, Turtles in Time on SNES is actually a good game because they had to remove all the mechanics that were designed to just suck more money out of the player. Yeah, the console version is great because, you know, obviously you can't have stuff like random throws and things. and enemies just hitting you out of hit stun in a console game. At least not one that they wanted to sell. I even noticed that as a kid, like, I would play like X-Men and stuff, and I noticed the throws were random. I'm glad we still got people like this that are making beat-em-ups. They're not the most profitable genre out there, but I mean, despite this game's issues, it's obviously a labor of love. I mean, look at this sprite work. The sprite work's great, the music's great, the gameplay is pretty good. And they're going to be making it even better for the PS4 version. That's cool. I think, like, from a mechanic standpoint, like, in terms of, like, recent, like, modern beat-em-ups, I'd say this and Guilty Gear Judgment are pretty much the top tier. In terms of, like, actually having a combat system where you can actually use all your moves and nothing's too ridiculous. Like, this and Guilty Gear Judgment are, like, my top two. I'd count Final Fight 3 because that game was really good mechanically wise, but the game's 20 years old. In terms of, like, modern ones, this is definitely one of the better ones. The problem with Guilty Gear Judgment was the fact that there's only one boss in the game that you can actually juggle. Which makes some of the characters not that great. If they ever make another one, I hope that they're able to kind of cut down on the amount of stationary enemies. Any game with a huge, like, emphasis on a combo system should not have that many stationary, just dead enemies. Just or bosses, at least. That was kind of the problem with DMC4. Like, nobody likes the savior fight in that game. I wish they had continued the Final Fight series. They had something good going with Final Fight 3. That was like the only console Final Fight that like actually tried to change the formula. And they had a good foundation to continue, but then they just kind of stopped. They started doing all those random spin-offs that weren't any good. They did Revenge and Streetwise, and that was it, aside from Final Fight 1, which kind of removed all the cool mechanics from 3. That game was pretty much just a straight remake with a couple things extra added. I played the shit out of Final Fight 1 in high school. I used to do, like, I guess you could call casual speedruns on that. Like, that was one of my main Game Boy Advance games that I played endlessly. That and Metroid Zero Mission. Mega Man 03 was another one I played a lot in high school. The Game Boy Advance had such an amazing library. Like, so much variety. There was, like, a good game for, like, pretty much any genre. I think with the 3DS, they haven't really come close to that, in my opinion. The DS had a pretty good library, but you had to sift through a lot of junk to find it. The Wii was like that too. You know, for every, like, Sengoku Basara 3 and Muramasa and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, there were like 500 M&M's kart racing games. That the GBA just had such a well-balanced library. You know, they had good racing games, good RPGs, good beat-em-ups, good just basic action games. If you were into Metroidvanias, that console was like your best friend, pretty much. You know, they had the 2 Metroid games, the 3 Metroidvanias from Konami. There are even some other ones. I heard there's like a Shaman King game that was like a Metroidvania. I think I pre-ordered Final Fight 1 and that was how I got a copy. I still have it, actually. I haven't really seen much on the 3DS that, like, actively makes me want one. I think the problem with the 3DS is a lot of stuff like beat-em-ups and action games and stuff, the console can't handle it. So all the people that still make those genres are on Vita. Like, I know for a fact the 3DS probably couldn't handle this game just because of how much is going on. Especially if you were doing like multiplayer. The 3DS would probably struggle to run this game. Whereas on the Vita, it's like silky smooth 60 FPS with some minor drops, but nothing that's like unplayable. That's why I don't have a 3DS. They just don't have much in my genres on there. The Vita's got some amazing beat-em-ups, platformers, some good shmups on there, a lot of classic games that you can get legally through the PSN. Whereas the 3DS is kind of just like all of Nintendo's consoles past the Super Nintendo. It gets by on the first party titles and like a couple random good third party games, but nothing that's like a system seller. It's kind of why I fell out with Nintendo. Like, their current business model is just release a bunch of random stuff until our first party titles are ready, and then those sell the hardware like crazy. But the problem with that is they don't have anything to keep people interested, like, between those times. the Wii U is a pretty prime example. Like, they haven't had much of anything interesting coming out after Smash Brothers. Splatoon's like the new in thing, but they went months without anything to play on there at all. I'd say the GBA was actually like the last console they had that had really good third-party support. Like, I mean, their first-party support on that console was strong, but they still had stuff like the Metroidvanias and Capcom's ports and stuff coming out pretty often. Metal Slug Advance, stuff like that, coming out on a regular basis. But since then, their third-party support's been awful. A lot of people will say it doesn't matter because their first-party games are so good, but yeah, you know, when you spend like $200 on one of their consoles and there's nothing to play for 6 months, that's not that great. I mean, if I'm gonna drop that much money on a console, I'd like to be able to have something good to play on it more than like twice a year. The Vita's got pretty decent stuff coming out really often, but it just depends on your personal taste in games. Once I'm done with this, I'll show my Vita library before I sign off. I think it's really hard to be like just a Nintendo-only gamer right now, in my opinion. I mean, you pretty much just have to ride off the first-party games. If you don't like those, then you've got nothing to play. They're definitely not anything like how they were when I was a kid. I mean, sure, there was a bunch of garbage on the SNES and NES, but there was still stuff worth playing coming out pretty often. We should definitely play this online once they add the patch and if it's actually playable. I would hope after the third attempt of making online play that they'd actually be able to get it working. But given their track record, I don't really know. Kinda have to curb my expectations. I think it would be fun to do like a co-op run of this. It would probably be awesome. The other two versions have had really below average net play. Pretty crazy. This is like a small little niche beat 'em up, but there's going to be 4 versions of this game. Like, this game has as many ports as like a super big budget like Western AAA title, but it's just this random, you know, niche beat 'em up. Kinda interesting when you think about it. Like, this game is on 360, Vita, PC, and then PS4 this summer. I guess it sold pretty well. I mean, I don't know why they would make 4 versions of it otherwise. Somebody's clearly buying it. Best song in the game right here. We should try to like get this into a GDQ. But that would require net play because I sure don't live in Ohio. But that would be pretty cool. They seem to be more open towards beat 'em ups, speedruns. But the problem they're facing now is they've pretty much had all the major big name beat 'em ups like just this year in AGDQ. I think they would be open to doing more, but there's not really a whole lot of other big name ones left. They did Castle Crashers a really long time ago. Yeah, I try to find the stylish stuff in this game because that's just my playstyle. I like pushing games like these to the limits. Oh, really? Well, it'll be something fun to do anyway. I mean, who cares about AGDQ? But obviously we would want to wait until they add the PS4 stuff, because that's going to change the game pretty tremendously. I know there's like new items, there's new skills on the skill tree, maybe possibly some new moves too, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I didn't even get to watch your run, because it was at like 4 AM my time. I stayed up as long as I could, but I fell asleep. I don't really think it's fair to say that they had no views for it when they had it at like ass o'clock. And I understand they need to have the big, like, nostalgia goggles titles during the prime hours, but still, to say no one wants to watch it is kind of unfair. I mean, you know, if you didn't have it at like 4 AM, maybe people would watch it. They definitely could have moved some of that other stuff that wasn't really interesting to the graveyard hours. Because I think beat 'em ups are really cool to see, like, actually optimized. And they're simple enough at the core that you don't have to be, like, hardcore into the games to, like, see that how skillful it is. Whereas some of the other stuff that they run there, you know, they have to have somebody constantly explaining what's going on because it's not easy to see to the untrained eye. But I don't think they're gonna give it another chance. Wow, that sucks, man. If I wasn't in such a bad financial situation, I'd help you get there. But I'm kind of trying and failing to make an income off doing stuff like this. It's not working too well, so I couldn't really help you. But I'm sure you would need a lot of other people to help you too, because going to that, I guess you can call it a convention now, is pretty expensive. I wish they would stop having them in the middle of nowhere, but I guess if they had it someplace like here, it would probably be even more money. But they always have them in these like random spots that I just can't like feasibly get to. Well, one thing you also have to take into consideration is you're not trying to grow your channel off that marathon like a lot of people are. I mean, some people, you know, stream full time because they had a really successful run at that marathon. And those are the kind of people that can, you know, take a hit on spending a lot of money to get there, but if you're just going there for fun, it's not really worth it. Like, I know Witwick streams like full time now because his Bashi runs have gotten him like thousands of followers, but obviously not everybody can do that. Or even wants to. I mean, I would love to meet people and go there, but it's just too expensive. If by some random, you know, twist of fate they had it here in Bakersfield, then I could go, because then I wouldn't need to stay at the hotel. I could just come home and sleep, but I think they try to avoid California because it would make attending even more expensive than it already is, I'm pretty sure. No, it did. The thing I have an issue with the way that they run GDQs is, you know, they want the big name games to draw in the donations and the viewers, but the problem is a lot of those big games haven't changed at all in years. Like, stuff like Mario 64 has not changed at all in ages. Ocarina of Time, you know, arguably got the new bottle skip or whatever it is. But a lot of those games are, like, the runs, the speed runs are, like, exactly the same. At some point, they're gonna have to accept, you know, lesser known stuff like this. Maybe not necessarily this genre, but I mean, there's only so many times you can do a Mario 64, you know, 120 star speedrun. They seem to be trying to, like, make some new hit, you know, titles that they can just keep having every year. But they still seem to, like, they want the big name games as like a security blanket, but you look at the chat and even some of the donation incentives that actually get through screening, and you see people saying the same thing I'm saying, which is like, you know, I don't really want to see Mario and Zelda anymore, you know, I want to see something else. And I think that's something they need to take into consideration, whether they like it or not. I'm gonna go ahead and cheat and just load the map for this, because I really don't... It's too late, it's already midnight. I just want to finish this run and go to bed. Also, this song is pretty god tier. Okay, so just keep going left. I'm surprised they let those comments through screening, the ones that were saying, like, you know, I'm donating because I'm tired of seeing Mario and Zelda. You'd think that, like, they wouldn't let that through screening, but they are, so maybe they're taking that to heart. At least I hope they are. Because honestly, when they do, like, a 4-hour Zelda speedrun, or Mario 64, I just tune out and come back in, like, 2 hours. I'm like, there's nothing there I haven't seen 1,000 times. A non-screen ticker? Huh. Yeah, sometimes the runners get their commentary disrupted by, you know, just constant donations. I mean, it's already hard to, like, commentate that stuff as it is. If you're doing, like, a high execution speedrun, it's really hard to commentate, and then they have to keep breaking it up with the donations. I don't know, I think the problem with that marathon is it just grew too fast. Like, I used to watch when they had it at, like, Essentia's house and when they had it at MagFest. And now it's like a full-blown nerd convention with thousands of people there. I think they're just going through growing pains, like they don't know how to accommodate all that stuff. They're still trying to run it grassroots, but it's obviously like a huge, you know, deal now. Is there something to the left? No. That's what's cool about smaller marathons, is, You know, it's not like a huge business. You know, most of them, it's just people streaming from home and, you know, someone restreaming it from Hitbox, and they don't have to worry about viewership numbers and what's gonna bring in donations and what's not. I have to wonder what like goes into their screening process for the games. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, if like Super Mario 64 got some random new glitch, and it was some random, you know, nobody streamer that was doing it, they would let that person in just on the basis of the game. But then you see, like, really awesome speedruns just get rejected, like, seemingly at random. You have to wonder, like, who makes the overall, like, decision on what gets in. But, like, if that same random no-one streamer was, you know, submitting something like this, and they had no viewers, like, the game would have no chance, pretty much. Unless that person got really lucky. Well, is the Dungeon Magic game, like, actually gonna be on at a reasonable time? I mean, if they're gonna have it on at, like, 4 in the morning, then it doesn't really matter. Because nobody's going to watch it. At least no one in America is going to watch it. The Europeans will get to watch it, but nobody in America is going to be up at that time. Which was my problem with the beat-em-up block. They had it on so freaking early, I couldn't watch it. That was what I was most interested in watching. No, well, I guess that's good for him. I've been rejected from GDQs so many times, I can't even get salty over it anymore. I mean, it's kinda just... I don't submit with the intention of, like, actually expecting it to get in. Like, last year, Basara made it past first cuts, and I was shocked about that. But they got rejected, you know, for the final cut. I was like, wow, they actually considered it, at least for, like, a little while. I thought, you know, that was pretty cool in itself. I hate this level. What were they thinking when they put this in? Let's take a really fun, just quick and simple beat 'em up, and then add this stupid maze to it. Even with the map, it's hard because there's like no landmarks whatsoever. they changed one thing in the PS4 version, I'd be like, just take this level out. Or if not, take it out entirely, just like, make it so it's not a maze, just make it straightforward like the rest of the game. Every time I play this game, I get to this part and I stop, like, without fail. I really don't know what their reasoning was behind just making this stupid level. The core gameplay in this is really good. It's just you get here and it's like, the fun's over. It gets longer on Nightmare mode too. It like doubles in length. Okay, so just keep going right. Yeah, that's this game's flaw. It's just this level is an atrocity. Also, these chicks are pretty high up there too. These awful enemies. Of course I went the wrong way, because I was by the gate when it opened. Well, now I've gotta suffer through more. At least this track is fire. How is it almost worse than it is? It's already, like, not the best game in the series. There was going to be twice as much? Why would they bloat a beat 'em up like that? They're supposed to be games that you finish in like an hour. Especially since you can't save in that game. Like, why would they even consider doing that? Seems weird to me. Most people aren't heavily invested in beat 'em ups to sit there and play them for a really long period of time. I mean, this game is pretty long for a beat 'em up, but it doesn't really get to offensive territory. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Like, this game's only like an hour and a half long. That's a pretty decent length for a beat 'em up. And you know, being a modern game, I'm sure they had pressure to like not make it a 20-minute game because people would complain. Which is why all like modern beat 'em ups have like RPG elements. So people who aren't like super hardcore into these, like I am, can at least get some kind of replay value out of it. Which I think is a good decision. I mean, it's the only way games like this will still be made. Like, Dragon's Crown is a good example. Like, if you took out the RPG elements and, like, gathering the talismans, that game would be, like, an hour long. Yeah, this game doesn't really have HP sponge enemies, which I think is kind of uncharacteristic. Usually that's like the #1 way, the easiest way to like make this kind of game harder, is just give the enemies boatloads of health. But here, even on Nightmare Plus, like, at least not on Nightmare. I never actually got to Nightmare Plus on this. Yeah, they did the balancing in this game pretty good. Alright, finally the end. Best thing about Final Fight 2 is the Stage 1 track. Like, that track is fire. But aside from that, the game is largely forgettable. Very by-the-numbers sequel. It didn't really do anything interesting. Which is why Final Fight 3 is the best one, because they actually, like, made an honest attempt at trying to do something different with it. I did play Final Fight 2 a lot as a kid, though. I rented that game quite a few times. I think they could have pulled off like having enemies with boatloads of HP in this game, if anything, because you actually have a combo system, but you have a beat 'em up with like a really limited moveset. Having a lot of health on the enemies is really boring because you don't really have a lot of tools to fight them with. That's the problem with a lot of the older beat 'em ups that aren't like the big name ones. Like, you give an enemy like 500 health bars and you have like 4 moves at your disposal, it just gets boring really fast. Like, this game actually has balanced enemy health. Like, nothing takes a ridiculously long period of time to go down. It keeps it interesting. But obviously, having a pretty robust moveset for a beat 'em up helps too. They did a lot of things right with this game. I will say one thing about this game. The only padding this game has at all is the maze level. The rest is just all action. There's no filler in this game whatsoever. Which for a modern game is pretty cool when you think about it. There's so many modern games out there that are just totally padded. Like, I liked Dragon's Crown, but that game has like an hour of content. It's really only the RPG elements that give it any longevity. People say that a lot about Rogue Legacy too. Like, that game honestly has like half an hour of content that's just locked behind the progression system. It's not a bad game, but like, if it didn't have an RPG element, like, you could finish it in half an hour. The game's still fun, it's just, it's pretty easy to notice that early on. Hey, what's up, Myung? I'm coming at the tail end of the stream. I think this game would be the best modern beat 'em up if it wasn't for the maze level. The maze level is like the only glaring flaw in this game. The rest is done really well. Oh no, don't worry about it, man. Like, glad you're here. Oh man, the Punisher. I played that a lot in middle school. There we go. 124.43. Well, actually, the game time's still going down for some reason. Just gotta wait for the cutscene to go down. There we go. 125.01. Not bad. That wasn't even really a speed run. I was just kind of playing through the game at a moderate pace, I guess you could call it. I think realistically you could probably get this game down to like maybe like, I don't know, maybe like sub 120. I did lose a lot of time because I got lost in the maze. But that was a pretty optimal playthrough when you think about it. I mean, I didn't die or anything. That was a 1 credit clear. Well, that was fun. I wasn't really planning on playing through the whole game, but like you said, this game's just got such a good presentation. The gameplay's really solid. The music's really good. Like I've said before, like the only real downfall of this game is the maze level. The rest is just really great. Also, the online play, if you count that, the online play for this game has been bad across the 2 versions that have it. I hope now that they're actually taking the time to work on it, they're actually able to get it working, because I think this would be a really fun, like, co-op speed game. But the online play's just been so awful on the 360 and Vita versions that a small group of people like me who would do that kind of thing wouldn't subject themselves to doing it on that netcode. I mean, it's like playing a game with like netcode that makes you feel underwater. It's that bad. I mean, they're making another version of this game on PS4. I hope they're able to get it working. It's not really a whole lot of pick up and play co-op games on PS4 at all right now. Like, if they want to actually turn this into a franchise, I hope it'd be in their best interest to actually have functional netcode, in my opinion. It's kind of like now or never. I mean, you go on the Steam forums for this, and it's just nothing but endless people complaining that there's no net play. I want to reply to every single one of those threads, and it's like, you should go play this on 360 and play with 4 people. It's awful. It's not fun in the slightest. We'll see what happens with this game. I kind of just bought this again for the 3rd time because, you know, they promised that they're going to add the PS4 stuff, at least some of it. But I mostly play this on Vita since it's portable. Well, that was a fun stream. Well, I think I'm gonna end it here. It's like 12:30 over here in California. And I streamed for like 2 hours earlier today. I've been streaming almost all today. My waking hours, pretty much. But, if you want to know what I'll be doing later this week, on the 10th, they're going to be, putting out a pretty big buff patch for fighters on PSO2. I'm interested in coming back to that game, because that class was arguably not that great before, and they're giving them like a huge laundry list of buffs, so I'll be playing that for the first time in months. That'll be pretty cool. I don't really have anything else planned. Maybe check out the DFO full release, but I don't really have the money or time to be committing to the cash shop on that, so we'll see what happens. But I will be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. It was a really fun stream. Lots of really great discussion. If you're watching this from YouTube, you got pretty much the whole speedrun. I did have to cut it at the beginning because the server that I was connected to on Twitch was all screwed up. But pretty good video. Should be a good watch. I talked throughout the whole thing. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.